What is going on, apes? Today we're here with Richard Yam, who came top 8 at PPG's first One Piece online regionals. We're going to quickly go over his deck list and just hear what he has to say about the event overall. So let's get right into it here, guys.
Yeah, so I'll play ZORO for this event. It's consistency is king. This is the most consistent deck in my opinion. You know, you can still win with bad hands and just destroy really good hands. So that's why I played it. Obviously play 10 Dons. You can't play any more when playing less. Consistency. So for our starters, we have to play 4 Namis, 4 Sunnies, 4 Dons, and 3 Gordons. So we only technically have like, 8, 12 starters. Gordon's not really a starter, but he can fill in your one-drop curve, but usually don't want to play him on one-drop if you don't have to. So if you don't really open any of these 12, you want a mulligan. Even if you open this by itself, you still probably want a mulligan for a searcher, because searchers are probably the best thing to open.
Do you choose to go first or second in most of your matchups?
Against green, and actually every matchup it's first except for the mirror. Mirror you can go either way, but I just choose to go second in the mirror. I don't think it's wrong to go first, but for me it's just easier to win going second as in the mirror match.
Okay.
And then we have our basically like turn, what I call turn 2, or your 3 down, your 4 down play. So we have 4 Vistas, Brooks, Makinos, and Magura. So you play these on like I said, the 3 Dawn to 4 Dawn to really help support your board. So obviously these to boost up your Namis and Gordons. This to Brooks to kind of like if you have nothing better to do, or if you want to kill like a Kiku that's rested, and then Vista's Vista obviously.
And
So
you
we have
played 4 Magaras. Would you change that? Would you keep 4? I see a lot of lists are playing 2 to 3 max.
yeah, you can change it or not, but I like to be more aggressive with my attacks, so I always like want to see this 3 or 4 Dawn. You can definitely trim it down if you don't feel like you want to play board more than like face. But for me, it's been great. At the end of the day, it's the 1k counter.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you find yourself discarding it as a counter a lot.
Yeah, late game you definitely discard it as a counter more so than not. But early game, if you see like this and this, like an Anami, like I want to go Nami 1, like swing with this, and then next turn play Makino to swing with this to keep that pressure alive.
Right.
But just by itself, it's really bad. That's why people have cut it, because you don't want to see a turn 1, and if you don't see it in 1 drop, it's kind of bad. So you can definitely trim it down if you feel like you've been clogging on it. And then we have support cards, the classic Otama pistol combo.
Yep.
You
only played 3 pistols.
Yeah, pistols format is not that great. If you think about it, in the mirror match, the only thing you're pistoling is maybe Robin.
Yeah.
Rest is ZORO, which is already kind of dead. I did a job. I guess some people play Luffy now, but like it's whatever. Across other board, black. There's like in the black deck, there's nothing to pistol. Everything's like indestructible. So mainly for the green matchup, if they have Odin or like Kid. Other than that, it's you really don't want it for anything else. But because this green is still alive, I have it 3. If green was in the deck, I'll probably put it down to 2.
Do you find yourself keeping it for the kids and the Odins, or are you using it on Okikus and Yamatos?
Okiku sometimes, but if I feel like my board's wide, then I keep it for the Odin. I only do this if I have to, like if I'm ahead or I really need to kill a kid. But yeah, you keep it for a kid if you feel like you can't beat the kid defense wall. If you are ahead, you can still kill Kikus and just kind of like steamroll. So the 3 drops. Now, even though these are 3 drops, the Robins and Zoros, I don't ever really play them on turn 3 or like when you have 3 Dawn. So these are more like the 5 and 6 Dawn plays where you want to swing with Zoro, but on 3 it just kind of dies right away. So you put pressure on your little guys, swing, play Zoro on 5 or 6 or 7, depending where you're at. Same with Robin. This format, green has too many resters, so you play on 3, they're just gonna rest it and kill it. So you kind of want to play later in the game. So these are not, even though they're 3 costs, you don't play on turn 3. I've been on and off with Robin for a lot because Robin's so good in mirror, but against other decks, it's kind of mediocre because against 3-mana 4K and it gets destroyed by like Kobe's and like all the greens. But we just have to play it to maintain our Straw Hat count because Nami does whiff in this deck more frequently than not.
Yeah, and I know that you were playing Chopper over Nami for a little bit. Why did you switch back?
I switched back because I was expecting a lot of red mirrors, and this is the key to beating red. I did play 5 red, 2 greens, 2 red greens, so having Robin at 4 really helped. If I do expect a lot of green, which I don't, but if I did, I would probably switch a couple for choppers again. But
Okay.
other than that, I think he had to play standard
So
with Robin.
what was your one loss to?
My one loss was to red green. He did come second in the tournament.
Okay.
But in that game, I didn't open any searchers, so that was step one to losing. Step two was he did open pretty well. Like he did the law combo on 5. I did make him go first, but he had all the nuts. But he was obviously a good player. But like if I had one or two more searchers, I think the game would went differently. And it did come down to me not having the extra counter in hand for the game. So like I said, the deck even without searchers, it's still very close to red green, who had everything. So if I had one more a search or counter, I think it'd be different. But
Right.
this deck is kind of powerful
Yeah,
even
of
without
course.
searchers. And then last but not least, the powerhouse 4 new gates. I know some people play 3 because they don't want to see it, but for me, I just feel like I want to see this card every matchup.
Yeah.
Um, 1 definitely, 2 I don't mind seeing 2 because back-to-back new gates are kind of insane as well.
Right. I was gonna ask if you draw two, do you almost always find yourself playing back to back new gates?
Yeah, so if you draw 2, you have to kind of switch your playstyle a bit. So a lot of people like they have a game plan in their head and they stick to it, but um, for this new Zoro deck, you're just a humble guide. Like if your hand has 2 new gates, then you play toward 2 new gates. So like you have to swing differently how you would normally, and this takes time to practice. Like you can't just keep playing like what you normally do is like, oh, I'll play this, swing this. You have to like learn how to play what your hand tells you to do. So if I have 2 new gates, I want like my early guys to do damage, make them kind of like kill my early guys. So that way, when I play new gate, I still have about 2 to 4. 3 is kind of average, so 3 life.
Mm-hmm.
Playing new gate, right? So then at most they can only swing 1 or 2 guys into my security, which I'll defend. And then dropping the second one is so safe because you still have those 2 to 3 securities. So you really have to play to protect the securities if you have this in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, you can kind of like play differently because you can draw more cards. But at the end of the day, like you have to change your playstyle. It's not as linear as OP01 and OP02. You have to like really be adapted to what's going on in the game. So
Right.
that's why seeing 2 is never bad. But if you ever see 3, I mean that sucks. But play as though you have 2.
Yeah.
But that's just variance,
Right.
as some people call it.
And Green did win this event, right? So do you think that Green is the best deck?
I think that red or green is the best deck right now. Like it's 50-50. It can go either way. Both have very powerful cards and are very consistent. I wouldn't mind playing either one.
What about
At
red
the end of
green?
the day, red green. I know it came second, but I don't believe it's a great deck. Because 1's 4 life, 2, it loses the green very easily because like everything gets rested, so they
Right.
can't build a board. Against red, like we have like a lot of rushers and vistas. Unfortunately, in my red green matchup that I lost, I didn't draw vista or searcher. So if like I said, like that, it could have been differently if I drew on the powerhouse cards, but that's why like vistaing the board and like going fast with their life, like they just can't keep up. They play correctly, so it's a good deck for sure. But in a long tournament, like I can't see it like consistently
Consistently
being red or
topping?
green.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I also
and
think red or
yeah.
green.
And in
But
regionals, you
not
see a lot of different decks too. You see like Smoker and like Ivankov. So Red Game does very well against those decks.
right.
Against the main 2 decks, I don't think is a very good matchup.
Okay, awesome. Do you have any last words or any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I want to shout out to the Discord boys. Without them, I wouldn't be here right now. You know who you are, and yeah, thank you for helping me build this deck.
Nice. Congratulations again, Richard, and thank you for the deck profile.